Okay, good morning and welcome to another edition of the Property Business Podcast. We have a completion for me today. I'm sat on Malpas Road in Brockley. I've got my champagne, the card and the plant about to go and hand over the keys shortly. We have Mr. Woods. You're on a train. How's it going, Mr. Woods? Where are you off to?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've just been down to go and meet one of our superstar capped agents, Daniel Archer, down in Wimbledon. So a really good chat with him, and then I'm just heading off, obviously doing this pod en route to go to an appraisal up in Clapham, and then I'm going to go meet Mark Goodeve Docker over in West London. We're going to go and find some partner agents up there, which is going to be quite fun as well.
Amazing. And then Ian Bates, you are in a glass house. Is that your normal office? How are you this morning, Mr. Ian Bates?
My very cold office at the back of my house, just so I'm not sat on the sofa.
And your top, is that what it says? I'm not an estate agent. Is that your branding?
That's the Instagram handle.
Nice.
Amazing. We'll come on to that as well. So lots to discuss today. So obviously Ian Bates is a lettings expert within the group. There's very cool Instagram content which we'll come on to. He's known as the not an estate agent, which we'll also ask him why. And he's also building a very successful revenue share group as well. So lots to discuss today. Ian, great to have you on the pod. Can you give us a kind of summary of your real estate career prior to joining EXP?
Yeah, so I started, my first job as a negotiator was back in 2010. That was with a company called Ludlow Thompson, who have since evolved into Foxtons. I left them, I was with them for about 3 years, and then I left and went to Savills, where I was working out of Canary Wharf for another 3 years. And then, from there, I wanted progression. So I ended up in a company called Chase Evans, where I was the lettings manager towards the end, I was lettings manager of 2 offices in Elephant Castle and Greenwich, which I left there in 2021.
Nice. And then have you been, John?
I was going to say, James, I think we've got a bit of a delay on the pod, but I think we're going to carry on.
Yeah, it's because I think
it's a bit choppy.
It's because we're on moving trains, John. So let's be honest. Is that when you joined EXP, Ian, in 2021?
No, funny enough. That's another story in itself. So I left and joined up with a friend who runs a company called Love Your Home. The goal was to kind of build that out and build myself into his business.
Yeah.
But from a personal kind of point of view, I think that the bit that went wrong is when you're kind of working with a friend, you're overly reliant on them too much, and maybe you don't put as much pressure on yourself, right? So it's the slow months. I was never really kind of pushing myself to do more because I was just like, well, there's 2 of us. Like when I'm slow, he'll pick up. When he's slow, I'll pick up. But the thing I noticed when I did join EXP in 2024, it's all you. So it's all that pressure is on you, and it's like that you can't have a slow day, right? It's just, but it brings out the best in yourself.
I think I was going to say I feel that. I think having. Sorry, I'm going to be off. I'll be off this train soon, so about one more stop, and then it'll stop delaying. So for listeners that are listening to it, I do apologise about stopping and changing. It's just the life of a real estate broker in London. You have to travel around as well. I think what you just said there, Ian, I think having the pressure element to it. Sometimes there are people that come into things with too much of a comfort zone, and often I find those are the people that do struggle. You need to have a bit of fear. You need to have a bit of something in the background that gets you out of bed and thinking, do you know what, if I don't do this, then maybe I'm not going to eat this week, or maybe my business is going to fail. Without having that pressure.
When I joined, full disclosure, I think I was in a lot of debt. My wife doesn't work; she's a full-time housewife / mum, and it's the pressure to eat, the pressure to pay the mortgage. Everything was on me. So when I joined EXP, it just had to work. But at the same time, from the very first month of working in EXP, I started earning more than I was 2 years without it.
Do you want to touch on to why and how that happened?
Sorry, go on.
I think John asked you, why did that happen so quickly? Like, why and how did that happen? So why did you start earning some money so quickly?
Look, I think the reason it's always so quick is mainly lettings, right? Lettings is always kind of very fast-paced income. So I knew from the second I signed up, I didn't need to do much. I needed to sign up maybe 1 or 2 landlords, and that would make the biggest difference. But outside of EXP, there's also the cost element, right? It's very difficult to motivate yourself if you know that you've got a big bill to pay before you can actually start paying yourself. And this is one of the reasons that I jumped in head first, right? Is speaking to people like Kevin Oates, who are explaining that they had a £400,000 year, and that year he paid himself maybe £15,000-20,000, and it's just, I don't want to be doing this to build a huge business making $500,000 a year and only paying myself the minimal amount. The whole reason I kind of stepped into self-employment was to kind of give more time with family, give more support to my wife, be able to take the kids to school, be able to pick them up. And it kind of, when you're trying to build a business almost without the EXP side, when you've got all these costs, those things become really hard. Whereas the flip side in here is it really allows you to build a life as opposed to just building a business.
Yeah, and you mentioned Kevin Oakes. Obviously, Kevin Oakes, similar to you, he worked at Ludlow. He then created his agency in Bexley Heath. Worked very hard. I've seen his bank statements. His revenue was 400k, but his outgoings are 401k. So when Jeroen Hopper introduced him to EXP, it's like, where do I sign? How do I give up that 15k outgoings? Was that a similar situation when Kevin reached out to you? Because obviously Kevin then reached out to you. Was it a similar kind of situation?
Not so much in the sense that I didn't manage any of the finances with Love Your Home. That was all done on my friend's side. But then I knew that we had a management portfolio of over 100 properties. And then most months it was we were able to kind of pay ourselves 2,000 each a month. But then, for me to break even on a month, I need 4 or 5 grand. And it's like I said, back then I was actually in a lot of debt as well. So the debt was actually growing rather than getting smaller, just because I wasn't able to earn enough to kind of start paying down that debt. It's also, like I say, it's really difficult to motivate yourself throughout the month when you don't really know what money's coming to you at the end of the month, right? You're just kind of relying on, I'm just going to work, and whatever I get. But it's not enough month in, month out. And I mean, that's what kind of really EXP gave me, is it just gave me the full control. It gave me the view of the financials of the company. And it's like, now it's being in a position where I can see what fees are coming through. For example, in January, February, March next year, I'm so much calmer throughout the month. I'm so much
nice.
And it's more kind of focused on, what do I need to do this month? How much money do I need coming in? But like I said, the way that EXP is set up, where they'll kind of take 30%, you keep 70%, you're keeping the majority of the share. But it makes it so easy when doing one deal, you're taking a larger proportion that is going straight in your pocket. I mean, we've had this conversation before, like the profit margins in EXP, it's phenomenal. To run a business through EXP, the profit margins you're able to keep is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, we've seen.
I was just going to say, just to add on to that, I think one of the things that people forget, and you see people like ourselves starting business up and running them, and they think, oh, I'll just go and do that myself. I don't need to partner my business with anyone. I'll just do it off my own back. And what people forget, like you were saying, one is cash flow. And, you were talking about sort of the splits and what's taken from it, but all the things that you need to operate as an estate agent, when you decide to partner your business, are all forward purchase. Everything's done for you and paid for, but isn't piling up a debt. So if it does take you a slower start, or you don't hit the ground running as quickly as you did, Ian, you're not racking up thousands and thousands of pounds of debt. You might have your own personal debt to deal with and your own personal burn rate, but you haven't got business costs that are coming out of your ears and that looming fear. I mean, I can't imagine how scary and how sickening it must be when you've got 5, 6, 8, 10 grand a month outgoing every month, and you have a fall through. or a moving doesn't happen right, or someone pulls out of a deal, and then you've got to cover that cost.
Yeah,
it must
And
be
then
terrifying.
And obviously, Ian, you are lettings heavy. Obviously, EXP gives you the platform to do whatever you want to do. If you want to do sales, if you want to do lettings, I know that you do a few sales, but you would say in your
Commercial.
own commercial as well that you are lettings heavy. Can you now explain what your business looks like and how you built it up from day one?
So I'm
John,
when I joined EXP,
just watch your
I'd never
microphone,
sold.
John.
Yep. Yeah, got it.
When I joined
Go on,
EXP,
Ian.
I'd never actually sold a flat before. So I mean, I went through my first sale last year, which was amazing. I personally, I've always worked in lettings, which has always given me a preference to lettings. When one of the reasons I kind of left corporate was I started seeing all the issues, the way that most estate agency, especially high streets, are set up. It's very toxic internally, right? You're not working for the clients, you're working against your colleagues. It's all kind of very competitive, but you start seeing towards the end why that doesn't work for the client. And I've always kind of said from the minute I left, I wanted to create something for the clients. Like I wanted to kind of just create a model which focused on service. So that's pretty much what I do now. It's one of the main reasons I always kind of focused on lettings, and I push other people in my downline now to focus on lettings, is I think it just creates that reoccurring income in the sense that, look, no matter what you do, if you come in your first year and you only do 20 grand's worth of lettings, that 20 grand's still there next year. So then you can walk in and do another 20 grand next year and turn it into 40 grand. But it just, that growth is there. Whereas for sales, it's very much, you've got to keep on that treadmill. And it's very challenging when what I was seeing is you would prospect until you got enough properties to work on. You'd then stop prospecting, work on these properties till they go down. And then you're in a position again where you've got that hole and you've got to prospect again. But it's just that repetitive cycle. Whereas, like I said, I wanted to create something that not only serviced my landlords, but allowed me to build a better life with my family, be more supportive to my wife, be at home more for the kids.
Amazing.
I was just going to add on to a couple of things you just said there. I think it's a really great strategy, especially for people when you're first starting out to go into lettings and really build up that residual income. I think what's quite important to establish as well is that retro learning, either, let's say, discipline. In the UK, we split ourselves in the corporate high street sector where you're either lettings or you're sales, and it used to frustrate the hell out of me because it's the same process. We all have the sales knowledge and acumen. We know what we're doing. It's just learning something different. And if you've been doing it long enough, you said you'd never sold a property before, but you've now got lots of clients that, quite a few of them, following the Rent Reform Act or Rental Reform, that maybe they want to sell. Now, you can offer them impartial, correct advice to your client on what they should do. You're not going to protect necessarily one side or the other side of the business. You're going to give the client the right advice on what they need to do that's right for them. And then you can also do that sale for them.
This is the greatest thing about EXP. So I got, obviously, again, in the past, somebody would have approached me for sale and I would have had to say when I was at that corporate desk, unfortunately, I'm not in sales, and I'd pass you on to the sales manager or whoever it was. I'd never see anything from that again.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I got approached for a property up in Highgate that's being sold. The client knew me from the past, and it's, again, Highgate's very far from me. It's about an hour and a half drive away. I don't know much about the area, but the fact of being part of EXP, I could turn around to James and say, well, look, who's the best person to service Highgate? He passed me on to Amanda, who's been an estate agent in that area since 1997. Like, my client is definitely not going to get as good a service from me as they would from Amanda and all of her knowledge, right? And it's the fact that EXP allows me to partner with her, where I'm not just handing off and losing money. We work on it together. I add my skill set, which I believe is all around the kind of marketing, virtual tours, videos, and things like that.
Yep.
And Amanda's knowledge added together, the clients get an absolutely phenomenal service. But
and
I think
you all win. Everyone wins. The client gets the service.
You'll win.
You get enough money out of it, and that's also a testament to what we've built within EXP itself. Because you might not know who that person is, but that person's joined through the org that also then knows James, that gets ratified as a decent agent, and you also know that it's protected. There's always that worry when you refer business to someone, is like, are they going to pay me? Are they going to do a good job? Is it going to be reflective of what I do? And it's protected heavily through our organisation connection.
But I think going back to what you said before, where it's like people want to do this alone, they don't need EXP. I think half of the time they make that decision because they're making it on an understanding of how they've worked before.
Yeah.
And how they've worked before in most of these agencies is so competitive. You think, I've had times where I've been sat at my lettings manager desk and I've called through all the sales stock, see if I can convince them to stop selling and start renting. That obviously doesn't make my sales manager very happy. But it's like you're all working against each other. And what people don't see when they're used to that is how easy it is to collaborate. And that's the one thing, your mind is blown when you enter this network and you see how everyone is just helping each other grow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing. We'll come on to your social media and also your work-life balance with your family. Can you give a bit more information about what your typical day looks like? Because you've got a motorbike, you're traveling all over London, servicing your clients for lettings and also helping them on the management. How do you run your lettings and your management business, and why do you choose to self-manage? And how are you supported in the background by the systems to allow you to be a self-manager?
Like I said, this all kind of leads into, we'll go into a bit further detail on the not an estate agent in a minute, but it's just that this all leads into everything I do is very much kind of thinking from a level of service and thinking how I could do things differently from the high street. So if a tenant reports a bit of maintenance in the high street, 9 times out of 10, a contractor's sent straight away and there's a call out fee, even though it might be a minimal issue that's very easily solvable by anyone, right? So I said, any bit of maintenance, anything that comes up, I want it to be there for. I want it to inspect, and it should be my job to try and solve it before having to spend any of my clients' money. A lot of this started from, again, as the management portfolio is built and it kind of replaced that salary I used to get in corporate, it was all just making sure I was actually doing something for this money. And it was like every bit of every additional management property that adds into the portfolio almost gives me an excuse to carry on doing this longer. So my typical day to day, like today, as an example, we're on the podcast now. After I finish here, I have to shoot up to Bloomsbury to fix some dining room chairs. So a tenant messaged me yesterday, sent me pictures. A couple of the screws have come loose. All I've got to do is go in there with a couple of new screws and tighten them all up. A flat nearby has also messaged about, there's 2 girls who live in a flat and they're struggling to change a couple of light bulbs. So I said I'd nip in and sort that for them. Look, things like this, in my opinion, keep tenants longer. Like, if a tenant is really happy, they're not going to leave. And one thing I always used to see, again, going back to that corporate C, we would see tenants serving notice to move into a property 3 doors down. And it was like, that shouldn't happen. If you're moving from a 1 bed in a building that's number 103 and they're moving to 105, like exactly the same flat but different agency, you've lost your client a tenant. You're not servicing your client there. You're not working in the best interest of the landlord or the tenant. So a lot of what I do is just based on trying to do essentially just the right thing by the clients and keep tenants as long as we possibly can.
So because you self-manage, I think that you take a lettings fee up front for a certain amount, and then because you manage, you then got a passive income. Obviously, you're doing a lot of work there, but then your income, you've then built up a good passive income. Is that right?
Yeah. So the way we kind of thought to set it up was we set up a separate letting and management fee. So, for example, the letting fee is 8%. The management fee is also 8%. But the only thing that we ever kind of negotiate on is the letting fee, because the letting fee is always taken up front for the duration of the tenancy. So that usually gives you £1,000, £2,000 in your pocket the second you secure a tenant. But then there's that residual £200, £300 a month that's coming every month from management.
Nice.
And that ultimately is what puts you in a position of just safety, right? I know that this month there's £6,000 worth of fees coming into the business.
Wow.
I don't have to add any more.
And you joined.
I don't really need to do any more. So
when did you?
That allows me to be reactive to the issues when they happen.
And when did you join EXP? Was it when in 2024?
July 2024. And
so
then
within
officially
circa
started trading
15.
August 24.
So just over, so roughly about a year and a half now, you've got a lettings book. You're giving an amazing service to clients, lettings, doing the management, an amazing service. But you financially are circa 6K each month. And that's after about kind of 15, 16 months. We have other examples like that, not to kind of quote your figures exactly, but I guess demonstrating that agents, if they want to go on to lettings, they can build up a salary that was more than what they were earning as a corporate income. Mark Goodif-Docker, within 8 or 9 months, has a lettings portfolio of 20, 25 flats. Gareth Maudsley, EXP, circa 18 months, has a big lettings book, probably higher numbers because he's more kind of prime central London. It's amazing. And then I guess that then leads on to you also building your work-life balance around your family. Do you want to give us some more insight into how you've built your business to make you a very happy, relaxed, chilled guy every time that I speak to you? Talk to me a bit about your kind of work-life balance.
Look, I always kind of measure myself based on active work rather than. I always kind of hate the grind culture and people that like post, I'm up at 10 o'clock at night, I'm still working, I'm so busy, and it's just, look, you're just not working effectively, in my opinion. And it's a lot of the time, I know
work smarter, not harder.
Well, exactly. And I always kind of set myself. I manage 30 properties now. That's not a huge amount. And when all your tenants are happy and all the maintenance is taken care of, there's actually not much to do. So that gives me a lot of balance. And it's just, I always kind of say most days in the week, I don't work past 4 o'clock. Like the kids come home at 4 o'clock. I want to be home with them. I will sit on Instagram and maybe make a reel or do something there. But the priority had to be them. It had to be spending time with them. And I think it becomes easier once you have built your business to a certain level and you're relaxed that you've got money coming in. I'm relaxed that I think one thing we don't talk about as well is, again, I'm in the grand scheme of things, I'm possibly making less than I used to when I was employed, but I'm actually keeping more. And that is because of the way that EXP allows you to set up, it's your business. It's my business. My wife is also named on the business. So we both get paid a salary from the business. She never got paid a salary before when I was employed. Again, the tax rate is obviously a lot different in terms of dividends than your employment pay. So as a family, we're earning more. We've got more time together. We've got more time at home. The work-life balance is, to be honest, I find it quite easy. But I think you have to be quite strict in some circumstances of like, look, I'm not going to work on Sundays. I'm not going to do this. This is my time for them. But once I was looking after enough properties that it replaced that corporate salary, everything else past then just became very relaxed and very easy because I'm not stressed about money.
Amazing. Yeah, it's great to see how you've kind of built your business to maintain the lifestyle that you do, not just for you, but obviously for your family as well. And then you mentioned Instagram Reels, Ian. How long have you been a Instagram guru, wizard, content creator? Have you always created the content that has it been a recent thing? And where does your creativity come from?
That was the first thing I did when I left corporate. So I was pushing to do this when I was in my corporate job. I was seeing the accounts like Mark Breffett, Grant Bates, Sam Sproston at Knight Frank. And I was seeing them create. This is when agents started to kind of get involved with all the socials and Instagram and things like that, I took it to my bosses and said, I think we should be doing something like this. They didn't like the idea at all. They didn't even like people on LinkedIn. Honestly, and I find this mad now that there are people out there in companies where their bosses are saying we don't want to have a LinkedIn account. But yeah, the one thing I wanted to do was just get a message out about what I believed was wrong, almost with the high street. And the first thing I did when I left was created an Instagram account, started talking. That got me in a bit of trouble with the previous employer in particular. So LinkedIn got dropped pretty quickly after I left, just because I was very aware that their clients were connected to me on LinkedIn. But it's Instagram just continued, and I just kept on having fun with it, to be honest. And there was a point in the beginning where people asked me what I did for work, and it was just, well, I kind of just post on Instagram, and somehow people like what I'm saying, and they keep coming to me and giving me flats to rent. So as long as that continues, I'll just continue doing it.
And is that where your name came from? Not an estate agent, and why do you call yourself not an estate agent?
Not an estate agent actually came when I was sat. The idea for it came when I was sat in a courtroom with my previous employer, and I spent the best part of 2-3 hours speaking or kind of defending myself that I had not set up in competition with them. And this all kind of started over, again, posting on Instagram, talking about stuff, and the fact that I kind of made a small mistake in that I registered my company name a year before I left their company. So there was suspicion there, which I get why we led to it happening, but it seemed ridiculous to sit in court and try and explain to a judge, to the jury, whoever it was, that I wasn't working as an estate agent in their way. Everything I was doing was different. I wasn't prospecting. I wasn't chasing all this business and telling people why I was better. I was just being this kind of, in what I thought was a service professional that would kind of lead people to me or attract people to me. But yeah, that's how it came from. And then the birth of that, I started really diving in and looking into everything I was doing differently to them. So where they would charge 10% on top of every contractor invoice, it was like, we're not going to do that. I'll pass the contractor invoices directly to my clients and they can pay exactly what it should be. My view is they pay me, let's say £4,000 a year for management. It's my job to save them money, not charge them more. And again, I think lettings in particular, I've said right from the beginning, I think lettings is a different industry to sales. Sales is a sales industry. Lettings should be a service industry. It should run like hotels, not as intense, but the way that you look after tenants should be similar to the way you're looking after a tenant in a hotel. And yeah, essentially, look, that's where it was born. And everything I do now, it always kind of comes with that nod of, I'm not an estate agent. It's different to a estate agency. It's service-focused lettings. It's trying to save money. It's riding a motorbike instead of getting stuck in traffic in a car every day. But yeah, it was a traumatic experience. But yeah, I'm glad something came out of that court case.
Well, you've been a lot more relaxed, had a bigger smile on your face that you joined EXP, and then through, I guess, posting on Instagram, that is helping you to attract some agents, and you're obviously building a good group of agents that you're supporting as well. We got Jeroen, Kevin. Talk to us a bit about how that group's going and the support that you offer as well.
Do you know what? I think it's phenomenal. Like, you guys, Jeroen, Kevin, like, the support I've had since you're here is phenomenal. And it's like, this is the part that you don't see from outside EXP, is you don't really understand the collaboration, because it's like, you don't really understand why Kevin would help me build a business, why Jeroen would help me build a business. And it's, once you're in, it becomes so crystal clear, but also your value in this network starts becoming clearer. So where I was very vocal on Instagram and social networks and stuff like that, and they weren't, it was like, okay, look, I can bring something to this. So you start feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself. And I think that's really important in terms of actually just giving you a drive every day, giving you something to kind of work towards, but also it's so valuing, right? You feel so much value when you've helped somebody else do something.
Yeah.
When we sat down in a room last week with a load of guys, and it was I was just kind of giving small tips on social media, and it's remarkable that the things that seem really easy to me, other people might not know. But then it's like the support you actually get with your social media as well from other agents in your network. It just helps elevate your message out, and that ultimately helps attract agents in. I think this is what social media is for me now. It's I do talk about the work sometimes, but it is more of a vessel for agent attraction. Just because it's an easy place to get the message out about how amazing this is, and just amazing how much my life has changed since joining. To be honest, it's the position I'm in now versus 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, I couldn't see the spot that I'm in now. It's just like, it seemed so far away that I would never get there. I was in so much debt, and it was like the debt was growing every day, that it's just like, at some point I'm going to have to go back to a job. But yeah, from that first month in EXP, it's like the vision comes, and the vision comes because other people have gone through it. Other people have built their business. Like John, like what, you were 2020 you joined?
2021.
John was 2021.
2021.
Yeah, 2021.
But it's like the fact that they've kind of been through the hard parts, and you're able to sit down and say, well, look, this is what I did. Follow the process and it will work. I just came in, followed what everyone put in front of me, and lo and behold, after the first month, it was like I've rented 2 flats and I'd sold 1. And it was like, wow, that was possibly the best month I've had in the last 2 years.
It's amazing if you look back at yourself 5 years ago.
And Robin, who were, I think, your old Chase colleagues. They created an agency. We all know the cost of having an agency, so they've joined the XP. They're doing very well. Marie Davis, one of your other Chase colleagues, so I'm in South Croydon. She lives close to me, so further evidence of how we help agents. Marie Davis has now sold about 6 or 7. I think 5 of those have been collaborations with myself. Like, we do all that we can to help agents. Like, you're helping on a social media, you're helping her meet on a regular basis. I'm helping her with collaborations where I am. It's awesome to see. Like, it's genuinely awesome to see agents. None of us are perfect by a long way, but we're all helping each other. We've got different, as you kind of said, different value propositions. Your Instagram, we all have stuff that we can help each other in the group, and then all kind of build together.
But I think when you do sign into this network, that's one of the first things you do think about, is actually finding the people that you used to love working with in the past. So me and Marie used to work really close together. I managed Elephant Castle. She managed the city office. Robin was for a long time my kind of, well, not my number 2, but he kind of we sat next to each other for like 2-3 years while we were opening up and building the Elephant Castle office. But as soon as I joined EXP, all I thought about was, I used to love working with them. I wonder if they'd be interested. I used to love working with them. And it was about building people in that would actually make me more productive, right? That would actually help me build my business, motivate me more to work. And ultimately, it's a much nicer way to work with them when you're actually collaborating with them versus competing with them when you're sat with them. But it's like the fact that we can go down to Battersea Power Station now, sit down for 2-3 hours, and we're all getting something from each other. Robin would say something like, oh, we've tried doing this and blah, blah, blah. It's really worked. And it's just like, oh, I want to try that. And it's just the fact that there's just that sharing of knowledge that everyone benefits from. But yeah, they, again, since signing up, have not looked back at all. It's just their sales business has grown so much since they joined. And it was like before they were just so reliant on their lettings, whereas they really wanted to kind of join EXP to kind of benefit from more sales, and they have.
Nice.
It's funny you mentioned the Battersea
awesome
Power
stories
Station there. It's quite
we
incredible,
have
really.
the Christmas parties coming up. Ian, are you both coming to the org events next Wednesday, and then the Christmas party at the Dorchester? This is posh. Have you got a very posh? You're not going to turn up in your leathers, are you, Ian? Have you got a tuxedo sorted?
No. I'll do similar to what I did last year. I still come down on the bike, no doubt, but I will. I'll be fully tuxed up. It'd be weird to see me in a suit. I might try and find someone that will kind of put this on a suit jacket for me.
And then you can expense that anyway because it's a business cost.
Dressing up. Yeah. Well, again, these are the things that people don't talk about. I've not, since joining EXP, I've never technically paid for any clothes. I just have them made, and the business pays for them. It's remarkable. This stuff becomes fun, right? It's just, again, the value of actually meeting agents and knowing that I could go and buy an agent lunch now and knowing that my business has got that covered, right? It's just, this model still blows my mind to think about. And I said right from the beginning, I've said for a long time now, that I think at some point in time, every single agent will be an EXP or something similar to it. Just because I don't really understand how the high street can compete now. It's when this offering is out there, it's like, why would you be a negotiator at a desk when this option is there? Why would you sit there and be a sales negotiator building somebody else's business when there's opportunity for you to earn so much more and actually work so much less by being part of something bigger than yourself?
Amazing. And I think that's a very good place to end there. Hopefully John's arrived at his market appraisal on time, and obviously John's going to be helping Mark Goodeve-Docker further build his business and his organisation. Any words of wisdom from you, Mr. Woods, before we log off?
I don't know if you can still hear me or not, but I got sort of dropped out.
How can the followers find you on Instagram, or how can someone who's resonated with you today reach out to you, Ian?
Find me on Not an Estate Agent on Instagram. You basically come and watch me ride my motorbike around London and call it work.
Amazing. Awesome, Ian. Thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for your input again, Mr. Woods. And we look forward to catching up soon, okay?
Thank you for having me.